In a world where we can Zoom and FaceTime across continents, join communities of shared passion, and scroll through endless stories, it feels like we've never been more connected. Yet somehow, loneliness, polarization, and disconnection are everywhere. This week on The Rundown, we're diving into the paradox of our digital age, asking whether technology is truly bringing us closer together or quietly pushing us apart. From the promise of global connection to the hidden costs of constant connectivity, we're going to explore how we can reclaim real relationships in an always-on world. Welcome to The Rundown. Hello, and welcome to the official one-year anniversary of The Rundown.
Are we going to have a party? Can we have a party?
Oh my gosh, we're having a party. I think we missed only 1 week. I think we missed just Yom Kippur that 1 week. But we've been here every week since then. And boy, look at these people who've been with me for this journey. This is fun. Tamara's been with me since, I think, the very first episode, right?
Yeah, I don't think I've missed one, which is like crazy for me.
Actually, I'm not sure that almost anyone has really missed much of one.
No, I think yeah, we've all been.
Yeah, we've all pretty much been around. What a joy to have you here with me.
I love being here.
And Tony, how you doing, sir?
Fine. Congratulations on 1 year.
Well, thank you. I'm just, my goal is to catch up to conversations. I'm just chasing you. That's what I'm doing, Tony. And Dave Troutman, how are you, sir?
I am doing really well, actually. Market's been nice to me, and everything's been going good. So,
do you bring any toys, anything to show off today that for later on?
No. I was going to grab one of my Sherry Turkle books and show it to you, but I'm a big fan of Sherry Turkle, so I love having her on the list today.
Okay, fair enough. And Mr. Sky Gleason, how are you, sir?
I'm toasting you a hot cup of tea.
Isn't this the best mug ever? It's so appropriate for today. My daughter got me this. I miss social distancing. I love this mug so much.
My tea bag is my daily how to be civil. Never regret your mistakes. Admire the courage it took to attempt the unknown. So happy birthday to the unknown of what next year brings to you, sir.
And we still have no idea what this is going to be. Absolutely.
And that's the joy of it, though. Embrace the journey. This is the destination right here.
Absolutely. I jumped right over you, Lois. I jumped right over you on my Stream Deck button. No, don't worry. I'm not going to land on you. I'm just so happy to have you here. How are you, ma'am?
I don't have a cup, but here's my sleeping kitten.
What is that?
The sleeping kitten.
Aww.
Holds paper. It holds. I use it for paper clips, but I think it was made to hold a little candle.
Oh, beautiful.
Anyway, it's. I can't show you the hummingbirds, so
That's
just
okay. That's all right.
Happy birthday to us.
Happy birthday to
all
us.
of the folks out there who are watching us, and all the folks who've been on the show and can't be here tonight. And they're having a good time, David.
And you know what? And so much gratitude. You're right. To Vic, who's been watching us from the beginning. Ray Franklin is watching here. My fellow Zoomy. It's really wonderful to have everyone here. We've got more news than usual tonight, so we're just going to jump right into it. That's okay. First up, AI cures cancer. Did any of you see this story? This is crazy. This is, I mean, it's amazing. Google's DeepMind has helped to find a potential breakthrough in cancer treatment. So this is from Interesting Engineering, and it basically has figured out how to turn cold tumors hot. I don't really understand all of this, but it basically focuses
they
on.
Already do, yeah.
Say again.
Well, there's already a heat treatment for cancer, and targeting is the problem. And if they've figured out how to turn them hot, then that can be done without all this extra energy added into the body.
Right. So
Just
this
using
is
the body's own energy. Yeah.
And what's sort of amazing here is that this is AI hypothesizing that it's not that the technology helped us accomplish something that we came up with. It's that the AI came up with it, and now we can help the AI accomplish it. Go ahead, Lois.
So what it really is it was able to look at all these different drugs and compare them and see what would happen if you put these together and those together. And just because it can do things really, really fast, it was able to look at lots of drugs that had not yet been considered by various researchers. I think what it did is it cut down the time that it would take a human to go through and do all of those comparisons and then come out with something that, well, if this is this and this is this, well, maybe together they might, but the humans are going to still have to figure it out.
Right, possibly. So it analyzed over 4,000 drugs, real tumor data, to identify compounds that would boost the immune signaling under specific conditions. And then, but here's the piece, and I might be wrong about this. You might be right that it's just a matter of mass analyzation and doing that quickly. But the key discovery here is the prediction that combining a particular inhibitor with low dose interferon would enhance an antigen presentation. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure that's obvious from the research. I think, and I'm not a doctor, but I think that there's more to it. I think the AI just came up with that, and then Yale scientists tested it and found, yes, actually that's true.
It compared those two things together, which that's a great thing. I think it's a wonderful thing. I hope it works.
Yeah.
But it's not like it was a genius or something. It just compared things really fast.
I'm not sure. Tamara, what do you think?
Well, I think there's a couple things. One, we are seeing AI at kind of its best, utilizing its analyzation skills. Like that's what it does well. What we're missing in that article is what was the prompt that got them there. It wasn't like the middle of the night that these AI got up together and said, let's solve cancer and let's do this. Like there were other scientists who were involved in saying, hey, what if we feed the model this and we see what it comes up with? So I think it's a little bit, it kind of is one of those things where like AI solves cancer. It's like, AI took a prompt written by a scientist and analyzed data, which is what it does quite well. But I also think there's other things to, listen, I have cancer in my family, and it's been a big part of my life. But I know from experience with my dad's cancer, he was diagnosed at age 50 with colorectal cancer, and he died at age 52. He was diagnosed in stage 4. And what kept him, he did one course of radiation and chemotherapy. It kind of did some of the stuff, but the insurance companies wouldn't go any further because he was in stage 4 and because they had their predictive models said that there was no hope of him living.
Oh, wow.
He also could not qualify for clinical trials, which would have been, hey, I don't have anything to lose anyways. I might as well try a critical trial because you have to fail 4 different treatments, and he had not failed 4 different treatments. So there's a lot more in solving cancer than it is the economics of a lot of people who don't want cancer solved, because it is an economical business. One dose of one of the treatments he was taking was $10,000 per pill. So there's a lot of people who don't want to solve cancer, and I think that's also part of the issue of why we haven't solved it. And then the third piece is that we have to accept that science is real and science is important, and we have a nebulous relationship with that right now.
We do. I mean, I think that the AI companies, at least the when I've heard the CEOs speak, they've uniformly said that this is the holy grail, right? Is having AI be able to come up with novel hypotheses. So in this article, it says the C2S Scale 27B foundation model built with Yale and based on Gemma, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, generated a novel hypothesis about cancer cellular behavior, which scientists experimentally validated in living cells. I mean, the first company to actually generate, sorry, let me change that. The first drug to come from a company whose AI had a novel hypothesis, that's the Holy Grail, right? I mean, that's what the best of what, as you said, that's the best of what AI can be.
I agree, and I definitely think in utilizing it for its best possibilities is great. I really don't like when we have articles that talk about AI solved cancer, as though these super smart people at Yale, by the way, and these super smart people that made the model to begin with had no part in that. And I think that that's really important that we keep in mind that these are not doing this by themselves.
Boy, I'm surprised. Lois, what is that? What
in the world just happened? Let me try that
That was
again.
the two thumbs up.
No, you know what that was?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody turned on fireworks to come on when I do that. I don't know how to do that.
But
We're
you
gonna
are
have to figure out how
so
to turn it off.
you're so
I'll tell
perfectly
you
framed,
not
though.
to do a lot of things if that's happening.
Yeah, no,
to you.
I
There's
can-
a few other things
you-
that
I
that-
will
always
happen.
use that symbol. I
Yeah,
mean,
you have
I
that
always
turned on in
Well,
Zoom. We can
today
help
you'll
you
have to turn
turn
it
that
off. Yeah.
I just want to say I'm a little surprised at how negative you all are. But I mean, of course, the scientists came up with the prompt. Of course, they developed all this. But had they been able to do this on their own, they would have. We need to give the AI a little more credit than we're giving it, I think.
No,
don't
we don't. It's a tool.
Oh my goodness, I
The
couldn't
folks
disagree more.
learned how to use a tool well. That's wonderful.
You're making this sound like they could have come up with this, and I couldn't disagree more.
Here's the thing. We actually don't know that they couldn't have come up with this. The speed at which this is
didn't come up with it.
Why didn't they? Because money.
No, I disagree.
Because that's what funds these things.
No.
Well,
Okay,
you
no,
would
no,
have
no.
had to
You're
take
right.
a
But
long
here's the
time
thing.
to
I
do
agree
it.
with you, David. It is so interesting, and it is actually showing a real live model of what AI can do, which is not replace these scientists. It is can work alongside these scientists.
Yes.
But so my problem isn't the AI. I think it is remarkable that it's doing that, and I think it's remarkable that they're using it in a way that will benefit so many people. The real issue I have with it is kind of the idea of giving all this credit to AI and not giving any credit to the scientists who said, "Hey, what if we utilize this thing to do this thing we can't do?"
You know what you just said though is, I mean, that's the takeaway, is that what's worth celebrating here is the partnership. We talk about even we're going to talk later about the Atlas browser, and with agentic AI that can do work for you. No, that isn't the best of AI. The best of AI is when it works in partnership with us, with our intelligence and our wisdom to create something. So,
and with our empathy, right?
our
Because
empathy,
it's our
all-
empathy that makes us want to solve the cancer problem.
Right. You're right.
And so that's the piece that I feel like we talk so much about how AI is going to replace humans.
Yeah.
And I think when we see things like this, we want to give credit to AI for being able to do something that computers can do. But we didn't replace accountants and because we suddenly have a calculator. So I think that it's really important to like really acknowledge that it's this really cool thing that we can do that we didn't know we can do, and we have tools to do this and what else. But it's with human behavior, and that it's not about replacing humans. It's about partnering and giving more tools to people who have human qualities.
Yeah, Sky, go ahead.
And I think that, I think the other question is the historical challenge of a corporation is they've been up against the FDA. Is that the one that regulates the medications? And you have to do an amazing amount of trials before you can get the license to give this medication away. And so historically, medications were available, but they weren't economically feasible for the amount of effort they put into the science of this. So if AI can then find a drug that then the corporations can then still make their profit margin that they insist on making, well, then I think there's good hope. But historically, I think Tamara already mentioned a certain drug can be very expensive in a certain region because of its scarcity.
Yeah.
I do think it's interesting that it found other drugs, right? Things that we weren't considering.
Right.
And what will be interesting to see is if those other drugs that now can potentially give us benefits in cancer become more expensive.
Right.
And that's going to be like where you really see the economic impact
And
or potential.
right. And look, with everything in life, there is both the opportunity for tremendous positives and some not so wonderful outcomes. If any of you were trying to get on Zoom or Amazon or anything else at 3:11 a.m. on Monday, you probably ran into some problems. Was it Monday? Or when was it? The 20th?
Monday, Tuesday?
Or Tuesday, maybe. I guess. I don't know.
Monday.
Yeah, Monday. And actually, I went to pull up this article, and at the top, breaking news right now, Alaska Airlines has grounded all of its flights due to a technology outage, they're saying. And they're not saying what it is, but all of Alaska Airlines, all of Horizon Air, the FAA has grounded everything because of an IT outage. So the large IT outage on Monday was Amazon Web Services, which is the largest cloud infrastructure provider. Had this major outage. Disney Plus, Reddit, Snapchat, Canva, Venmo, everything was down. And a lot of it didn't come back until late in the day, the next day. Sorry, not the next day, later that day, until even 4, 5, 6 p.m. Were any of you affected? Did any of you feel this outage?
I was affected by Amazon because Amazon kept blacking out, but then also all of my packages were delayed a day.
Ah, okay.
So my same day or next day deliveries were all pushed. So this week I've gotten a lot of, hey, it's not going to be here for a day. I'm like, that's what it impacted across the board.
I think I'm inspired to ask my neighbor here to my right. Actually, he's to my left. He's up. Anyway, hey, Dave, is there such a thing as a digital go bag? In case of emergency.
Right.
Oh wait, he's going to get his
he's getting it. He's pulling it out.
Digging it out.
And we didn't plan this. Oh, spontaneity.
While he's getting it. Oh, good. What is that? Oh, there you go. Emergency, it says.
USB.
Got everything on it I need, plus all of my documents, my images, and my whole wallet's in there, and access numbers for getting at my online stuff, and also a lot of important personal documents that I know my son will need if I'm not here.
And your mother's maiden name is what again? No, sorry.
That's the thing. Actually, if you're an audio A1 and you have to make a grand piano, my password is in there.
Okay,
there.
but
that's the only clue I'll give the world about how to get at my main master password.
Mickey will now be able to get into
Mickey will know exactly what to do, and he'll be in my system tomorrow morning and harass you. But yes, there is a digital go bag, and you'll put this in your trunk or wherever you're traveling, and
of course you're going to try to plug it into a plug that is now the USB-C version.
Until the A's are no longer available, because most of the computers that are going to read that, because it's in Windows format, is going to be a hospital will have an A. That's all there'll be to it.
That's true.
Yes. Yeah. No, I was thinking about what you guys are talking about in terms of the cancer, because I'm a cancer survivor. But for Tamara's point, I had cancer, stage 4, survived it, and didn't pay $1.
I know.
But you live in Canada, Dave.
And most of the world is like Canada. They have universal coverage for serious
injury.
You know what?
I'm going to stop you there. We cannot afford health coverage. We have a ballroom we have to build.
Yes, you can.
Let's
there's
please.
that too. Yeah. Let's desecrate the White House and build a ballroom. No more politics. Yeah.
By the way, speaking of Amazon, this is not have to do with the outage, but did any of you see Amazon's new driver glasses? So this was
Oh,
just
that's
announced
kinda cool.
yesterday. They are outfitting their drivers with AR glasses so that the drivers now it'll give them directions. It'll tell them where to leave things. It'll allow them to take the picture as soon as they leave it there. It'll note that there's a dog at that address for other drivers. Pretty wild
it's actually
stuff.
it's training the bot. That's not to help the human. That's just when the humans get replaced.
No, it goes both
Maybe.
ways. Like most tools, it goes both ways.
Yeah.
So instead of a body
It's
cam, we
helping
now
the system
have
and the
body
guy at the
glasses.
same time.
Right. You're right. It's instead of a body cam, except you can see through it. Right. In any case, getting back to the outage. So I, for some reason, didn't feel it. My
happy
daughter
news.
did. I got home and my daughter was like, I couldn't do anything all day. My classes were canceled. Da, da, da. I guess it really depends what services you use, but AWS is sort of everything. I mean, it's there's just so much. Now
Our AWS is in Vancouver and Toronto, and so they're not connected to the Northeast
okay.
one that you guys had. They're like centers number 13 and 14 or something.
Now they were quick to say it was not a cyber attack; it was a technical fault.
And I'm not sure how much ripple effect there was from this. I did notice that afternoon when I went to try and read my book, when you get to a page and you flip the page, it goes out and it gets the next section of the book.
Oh, you
from
mean
the
that on your
library.
Kindle, like not a book?
No, on my phone. It's
Oh,
a
your phone.
digital book, an ebook.
Gotcha.
And the library wasn't there.
Yeah.
Oh, you couldn't access it. Yeah.
Couldn't
It does
access
speak-
it for a while.
It does speak to the vulnerability, though, right? Because
It
we've become
absolutely
so
does.
dependent, and really, AWS, Google, and Microsoft are all the biggest cloud servers out there. And we realize how much, whether it was a cyber attack or not, how much connection we have,
Yeah.
and what are the redundancies for that. So I think that's an interesting.
We
I'm going to
we
go start
don't know
growing
what to-
carrots
say again.
and potatoes tomorrow. I'm going to start growing carrots and potatoes tomorrow.
Right. We don't know what to do without
Yeah.
that connectivity. You're absolutely right about that. Have any of you played with ChatGPT Atlas?
I tried.
With all the hype about ChatGPT doing everything and being wonderful, all they could do was make a browser.
Okay, no, wait, back up. So this is
A search engine
not
and
the
browser.
first. This is ChatGPT Atlas. They announced this week on the 21st. This is like Strawberry. It's like Dia. It's like Comet. It's an AI. It's a browser. I mean, bottom line, it's a browser. So you're looking at a Chromium-based browser, and then on the right-hand side, or on others on the left-hand side, you basically have AI built in. So
So how is it different than Chrome?
I'm
Chrome has
going to
AI
show
built
you.
in.
So what there were a couple problems they were trying to solve. One is the workflow right now is, let's see, I'm working on a spreadsheet, and if I want to work with ChatGPT, I go to ChatGPT in a different tab. Right. I type something, I copy it, and I put it back in here. What this does is it puts ChatGPT in the browser. So, for example, I have here a list of dates and national holidays on these days, and I have a prompt here called "Fill out column C with descriptions of each holiday celebration listed in column B." Now, if I did this over in ChatGPT, it would probably work fine. It would give me that stuff. I'd have to copy it and put it in here. But with agent mode turned on, which I turned on down here, I can now click go. And this is actually kind of cool to watch. So it has now taken over my browser. I'm not doing anything. And you can see it telling me what it's doing. It highlighted the first 11 rows of this, and it's searching for descriptions for these things, and then it's going to put them in. So now you can see it's searching the web. Now I can't do anything in this right now. I could stop it. There's a button at the bottom. But I can now go somewhere else and work on whatever I want, and it's going to keep doing what it's doing. So ChatGPT is living in the side here. I can have regular conversations with it, or I can do this agent mode. Now, this is not available for free users. It's available for Plus or Pro users. I used this extensively today for this exact project, actually. I had, for this one, I only did October, but I had the entire year, 365 rows, a special day for each day, and I wanted a short description in each cell of column C. It did not do a good job. It really struggled. Especially, there were two things that I found. One is, and this is true in general, I think, when you're prompting with AI, that if you give it too much, it gets lost. Like if you give it more than 20 rows at a time, it just completely gets lost. And the other thing is, if there's text already in a cell, it does not know how to erase and replace. It can put text in a cell, like here you can see it's now finishing this up. Yeah, so it just
David,
finished.
how is that a browser? You said you created columns 1 and 2.
So
How is
this
that
is
a browser?
this is Google
A browser
Sheets.
goes to websites.
This is Google Sheets.
Oh,
I'm on a
that's not a
website.
browser.
Yeah, it is. Of course it is. That's how you access Google, through Google Sheets, through a browser. That's the only
Yeah,
way
it
to
doesn't
get
matter
to
which browser
Google
you use.
stuff. Right?
Okay, so you're showing us about Google Sheets rather than showing us here's a browser, go look at your website
Well, no.
and then
So here,
whatever.
so here's ChatGPT. Here's the ChatGPT website, and I opened up ChatGPT on the side here, and I said summarize this article, and it gave me a summary right here. Now, again, the old way I would have to do this is I'd have to go to ChatGPT, and I'd have to say summarize. I'd have to somehow access that article or that website, which is Chat has never been good with, and then have it comment on it. Now I can do it right here from within the browser.
I love this in theory. Like I love the idea of it kind of doing some of that work. And I use ChatGPT to do that kind of work. It's really good at analyzing data that you give it. So if you gave it the data and said, here's the data,
Right.
I'd like you to match it up to here, it would be really good at that. The thing that is making me so I hate it every single time, and I try and love it. When Google takes over the research experience, or when AI takes over the research experience, it makes me crazy because inevitably it finds an article that I wouldn't choose as an article to base all my data off of, or it comes back with just, it makes stuff up. And that to me is starting to get so integrated into things with it being kind of a faulty system that you go to search anything on Google and it comes up with the AI equivalent of it in the AI answer. And the AI answer isn't always right. And it's making this data untrustworthy. What it is so good at is taking data and analyzing it and matching it up that you have control over.
Yeah, yes, and I would just make a friendly amendment to that one of the things that so this just finished this work, and you can see it didn't finish it completely. It only did the first 20 rows. And again, that's an example of how it's much better in small little bites. Hold on 1 second, Dave. I just want to say the other thing that I was asking this to do was give me a link to where you found this information. Just give me the link. It really struggled with that.
No, it's bad.
Almost all the links were 404s.
It's
error
bad.
pages. Yeah, it really struggled. Now, I wanted to, I'll come back to that. Dave, go ahead.
I'm wondering when we're going to see the agentic nature of all these AI helpers, where they can track which app I've been using and for how long through my workday, and then apply it to whatever client I was dealing with and give me a complete report of the time used that I can bill with.
So that actually came up in, who was talking? Was it our guy? Yes, it was. What's his name? I forgot his name again. Tamara, our guy.
Oh, Nate. Nate B. Jones.
So Nate did a review of this, and he talked about this. He talked about that exact thing about time tracking. He said this could be a really interesting way to do time tracking.
Yeah.
Now,
Asked my agent to just write everything down for me that I was
Right.
doing, and every
Now-
time I switch from editing to email to something else,
right now we've only
it
had this
stops
for
the
2
clock
days,
on that and
so
switches.
the
Oh, yeah,
more you
yeah.
use it, the more it's going to
It's
learn.
more of a global question rather than just today's browser.
Right.
But yeah, and now the follow along, of course, is it can't see the Safari browser, the Omni browser, or any of the
Correct.
others. It only works within the browser that you're using to get at GPT.
Correct.
Okay.
Well,
so
no.
if I use Safari to get to my
no.
GTP,
Wait. It's not using a browser. This is a browser.
okay,
Right? ChatGPT Atlas is its own browser.
is it's
built
a
on
browser?
Chromium.
Okay.
Right.
So it can see what I'm doing in Safari, and if I
No.
had a spreadsheet,
It can
open
see
No.
what you're
there,
doing
no?
in
Okay.
Atlas. In the
You have to
Atlas
switch
browser.
your-
That's all.
But
You
you
have
were
to switch your
using
browser.
Google Sheets there, and
Because
that's
you
not
can
in-
log into Google Sheets on any browser.
Well, that's
Exactly.
what I'm saying. If I
Yeah.
log into Safari and I go to do something in my browser,
No.
can
No,
the
No.
Atlas
you can
do the same thing?
log into your Google account on Safari or on Atlas, but then like your Safari can't see what your Chrome is doing, what your other
Okay.
browsers are doing. So it's
So
the
I can
same
get
thing.
to my
It's like
iCloud documents through any browser.
right.
Log into that. So if I use the Atlas browser to see iCloud, it'll see all my documents,
Exactly.
and photographs,
Right.
and all that
Yes,
stuff.
exactly.
And
So-
then I could do things with that. I could say, put this here. I'm
Correct.
writing an article. I need this picture. I don't know where that picture is, and it finds it for me. Okay, good.
Right.
So here
So-
is
David,
what?
so Dave just said, so if I use this browser, then it will see everything I have in iCloud. And where is that
No.
information
It,
going?
it won't necessarily see every. It'll see what you let it see. It can't see web pages that you're not on. If you don't go to iCloud, it won't see iCloud.
And iCloud isn't a website, it's a file system.
No, iCloud it can be accessed through the web. You can go to Hong Kong and log into your iCloud from a
Right.
PC. You don't have to have a Mac.
Right,
You
but
don't have
it's
to take your
not,
laptop.
but it's not a browser. You're
Well,
just
it's
logging
accessible
in.
through a browser. That's the same interface you're using on your machine is available through a browser.
I don't believe that. When I want to go and find a file on iCloud, I'm not using a browser. I'm just using
No,
the Finder
right.
the
Because
operating.
you're
you
in the
can,
Finder, right?
but you can
But if you
choose to.
weren't at your home and you were in Hong Kong and you went to
Uh-huh.
the library and they let you use a PC, not a Mac, you could go onto a browser and type in your iCloud credentials, and there it is. It's all there. It's worldwide.
All right, so I am in Atlas. I've opened up from all recipes, and I'm going to turn on agent mode, and I'm going to say, "This looks yummy. Please add the ingredients to my Instacart order." And let's see if it'll do that. It should be able to do that. They
You'll have
showed
to
this.
sign into Instacart.
I like the halo. I like
I
the
know.
purple halo.
Yeah, I
That's
know
kinda
that. Yeah,
clever.
the visualization is nice.
Cosmic thinking mode.
Yep.
Accessing the universe.
So it just closed that modal. Okay. Apparently there's an overlay, and at the bottom it says you can take control, you can stop. So you do have control over this. But right, let's see what it's doing now. It is now logging into Instacart.
Visualization of a portal.
So this just logged into my
I
Instacart.
dream of genie mode.
It didn't log in. I'm already logged in, but it went to my Instacart. Now, with Instacart, you can't move forward without either giving a rating or Xing out. So it figured that out.
Right.
It X'd out. It's kind of cool to watch, I have to say. Cream of chicken soup. Look at this. It's going to put all of these things in my cart. Oh my God.
Like, here's the thing. It's not actually freeing Dave up to do anything else because he's going to be watching it.
I
work.
know, but I don't
he'd-
have to
he'd
be.
be on another tab. He could be
Right,
on another
it's true.
tab while
Right.
it does that.
But I
shopping.
kind of
It's
want to
gonna go
watch
shopping
it.
for him.
I mean, this is
Yeah.
fantastic.
He's going to cancel his Netflix subscription. He's got his entire
mean,
Oh,
look at
that
this.
would be
This is-
helpful, wouldn't it? Is to be able to cancel
Atlas.
something.
I have to say,
easily.
earlier
Let
today,
the
I was really
agent do
frustrated
it
with
for you.
Atlas, but this is cool.
Network
So if
television
Atlas
is doomed.
is going to do all of this ChatGPT stuff in the column on the side, can Atlas have more than one window open, or is it always
That's a great question.
focused on it?
That's a great question. All right, so here's this. Let me ask this to do something else. Please change the descriptions you just wrote and into poetic verse. So I'm using up all of my credits.
All your
probably
credits.
on this, but so yeah, it looks like you can do different things on. So for example, I have to place a weekly Instacart order for my school. I could just have a Google Doc with that Instacart order and then save a prompt with a hotkey, and then I don't have to place that. I mean, you still have to place the order, but it's now put 6 things in my cart.
I mean, that's pretty cool.
Now, don't give it your credit card because it'll start buying stuff on the
Right.
net while you're not looking.
Right. Oh man, forget the rest of the show, guys. We're just gonna watch it shop all day.
We'll just play with this all day.
No,
And here it
No,
is.
it's
So this
boring.
just finished. Celebrate the techies who code and dream, inspire young minds to join the team. It just did it on both, yeah.
That's pretty fun.
In any
And
case,
next week's show, watching paint dry.
Now,
Okay,
when
all right, we'll
AWS
stop.
goes down or has a breach, we have a real problem.
we'll stop. But this is, I mean,
So-
oh wait, sorry, it just finished. Did it finish? I can't tell.
How much does that recipe cost to make? That's what I want.
Yeah, I'm looking. So let's see what it. God, this
Well,
is.
it doesn't know what he's got in his cabinet, so it might buy a whole bottle of dill.
Okay, here we go.
when he's
It's
already got
done.
some.
It's done. So it's interesting. It's ordering from a place that I've never ordered from before. Broward Meat and Fish Cart. Okay. It says I've added all the required ingredients from the recipe. Okay. So it put in cream of chicken soup. I have no idea what this recipe is, by the way. Chicken broth, lemon juice, Spanish capers, desecha orzo, chicken breast cutlets, badia
so
spiced
much,
garlic
so
powder,
much bacon. I
and
love the
iodized
bacon.
salt. $28.51.
And why does okay?
So so much to say.
So it doesn't know what you already have. So it's ordering salt. You probably already have salt.
Well, no, but I said
And
to
the
it, I
other-
said, order
Give
these
all the-
ingredients.
Yes, you did. And that's what I'm saying is next it'll want to talk to the refrigerator, talk to the cupboard.
Yeah,
and
but you
keep
could-
track of what your stuff
You
is.
could
And
keep
make
a
it.
digital inventory of your pantry and feed that to ChatGPT and
could.
say, please
You could.
All right,
verify
I just
this
said
against my pantry.
I actually have salt. Please remove that from my cart.
So, all right. I
Here's-
understand that this is fun and it's cute and all that other stuff, but the
There you go.
amount of energy that is being spent to do this by ChatGPT instead of doing it
No, I
by
disagree.
checking off your
I think it's an
list.
accessibility issue, though. I do think that there's a reason to say that there are people who cannot do
There
this
are
task
people.
themselves, and this
Yes.
might allow them to do that.
No, but it's
Yes,
not just
but
that.
I would
Again,
still want us to think about when it makes sense for us to use one of these AI things, because think about the rest of the world. Have you seen that article about Memphis? I wish we had talked about that on our show, but we didn't. And
Well, I'm
how
thinking
much
about my
damage-
QFC grocery store that has been decommissioned because it's not profitable.
Mhm.
Well, because again, the Amazon trucks are now delivering all the food. So who goes into the store? I guess the introverts win.
But what happened with David, where it went to a store that he didn't know, really shows where the monetization is going to be. You will be
Oh,
a
wow.
product by selling your information to stores who can bid to pay the highest bid to pay money to be directed to your Instacart. So it's like that's a real window into how people will make money.
That's
off
fascinating.
Of you.
Right? Yeah. How did it choose? Why did it choose that store? That's
Right.
And can stores in the future, can they pay to
And can
get
they
to the front of
now?
that
We
line?
don't know.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Right?
I mean,
So
why
we're
do you
always
think all the products on the stores shelves are the way they are? It's because the Coca-Cola put them there and buys the space. It's a
Right.
market.
Right.
Again, I know we're making fun of it, and yes, we did just spend 20 minutes buying 8 ingredients, but I just want to say again, I have a weekly order I have to place, and every week I go in and I have to check all the things. If I just put them in a Google Doc, I can, with one prompt, and I'm done. I'm just saying.
When it becomes less novel for you and you're able to push that button and not watch it, that does free you up to do things that only you can do.
Yeah.
So I do think there's certainly value in it.
I think it's interesting and fun and exciting.
And you can probably tell at which store that you would prefer.
Yes, you're right. I could probably say order this from
So you
Costco.
can still
order this from
be in control if you so choose.
But most people
But
won't.
Humans are lazy.
All right.
And uninformed. Like, I don't think people know. I mean, look at AWS went down and a bunch of posts were like, Amazon controls this. Oh, yeah, they've been controlling it for a long time. Didn't you know that? No, you didn't, because you're not a computer person. So, like, a lot of people don't know. They're not informed in the way we are.
Well, at least the way Tony Mobley is.
Right.
Because he talks to people.
Tony's in the know.
Tony's our human. He's our token human on this panel.
Hey.
No, you're human too. Okay, speaking of humans, let's talk about connection. It seems to me that we are in this we have gone through a uniquely strange experience of, because of COVID, having to be physically apart from one another, but somehow finding so many ways to feel closer to one another. And post-COVID, a lot of those trends we've held on to, especially us, we've held on to using these tools to stay connected. We've used these tools to allow ourselves to be physically distant while also being connected. And at the same time, when I'm doing carpool at my school and the parents drive in and I see them on their phones or I see them talking to their car and there are kids running around and they're not present in that, they're not connected to us, to me, to the kids in that moment, but instead they're connected to their technology, it feels like we're worlds apart. So let me just put this out there. Where have you found yourself in this paradox of both being just in this group, even physically very distant from one another, and yet feeling quite connected? Sky, it looked like you wanted to jump in before.
I remember being in the theater company, traveling the world, and I saw somebody in a very crowded transportation area, and it was when the Sony Walkman first came out. And it had the very cool headphones, and it had the cool little earbud thing, and it was pre all things digital. It was still analog tapes that you would have to. And I just thought how odd that person would be disconnected from the humans around them in this very public transit space. And this was in, like I said, I think it was in Scandinavia, Sweden, Denmark, somewhere. Anyway, so we had this conversation. My neighbor, who I am in community with, lives 12 feet above me, and I were having that conversation. Oh, the iPhone's the beginning of the end. It's like, no, it happened before then. And I really want to toss it to Tamara, because you say you identify as an introvert.
I do.
And that is again, I think a part of this conversation of an introvert, extrovert. How do we see ourselves? But then we want all of this control, but we're alone and we are in pain. But see, I'm an extrovert that's an introvert kind of a thing. So I'm confused when people say they're introverts. So help me be less confused.
I mean, listen, being an introvert does not necessarily mean that you can't be part of a group. It means your recovery time needs to be by yourself. So it means that you have a different sense of recovery. So I think a lot of people have always looked at me and said, oh, but you're a teacher, but you're this, you're always standing in front of people talking. That doesn't matter. Being an introvert is how you recharge. You recharge by going to a party and getting feedback from all of your friends. I recharge by going and reading a book and taking a nap and walking by myself. So, for me, Zoom has been a really crazy experience, because when I have pictures, and I've been trying to because I'm teaching a class on how to show up digitally. And I was like, when I went back and I had done screen caps in 2020 of various meetings that I was in, and it's fascinating. One, I look terrified. Two, no one's looking at each other. People are miserable. They look so horrible. Like, we're so laid back, and I told you guys off camera that, for me, I'm a behind the scenes girl. I have more black wardrobe than anybody. I have been backstage moving stuff around. I am not the person who
as an employee of a communications industry where theater black is a
Absolutely.
costume. Is a uniform.
I have all of that.
I'm helping identify for those that don't understand what you mean by black. So
yeah,
yes,
I'm a behind the scenes girl. So the idea that I would show up in a digital space as regularly as I do, and I spend hours in front of things, and people look at me and they're like, but you're so comfortable. No, I am not. I wasn't ever. And I even told you guys this off camera a couple weeks ago when I had to come in New York. It was a nightmare for me. I couldn't get my lighting right. Nothing would plug in. And I was about to say, you know what? I can't do it today. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go anyways. And I think that's a real testament to our group, because I was like, I don't want to let people down, but also I don't want to miss out seeing my friends, because
FOMO.
I don't think it
Fear of missing out.
I don't think it is the technology that is connecting, that it is connecting. Connection comes from shared experiences. Multiple shared experiences create some kind of communication and some kind of technology. It's some kind of thing. It's like saying an invitation to a party will equal a rich life. If you go to a party and you are hanging out on the outside looking in, you are not any more connected and any more having a shared human experience than you are if you're in a digital space.
We also had a shared concern for you. We coached you through that New York experience, right? And we wouldn't have been able to do that if you didn't go through with it.
Absolutely. So also the support that I felt, but it wasn't just the support of what I knew this group was going to do. It was the support of the office hours community, where there's kind of a no person left behind, that I knew I could show up as less than myself, and I would have support of people who would make sure it was okay, that I would feel safe, and that also I would look fine. And I didn't look fine, but you all helped me. But I knew that was going to be the case, that if I just showed up, you would help me get to the place I needed to be. And that doesn't come from a lack of connection. That comes from a deep understanding of who our community is and the space that we've opened for each other. Because every single one of us has logged on at some point where we didn't have sound, we didn't have lights, we didn't have something, and everyone else kind of helped figure that out. And knowing that, because I had multiple experiences here and experiences with JJ and Mickey and experiences in our whole community where we've said, listen, what's important to us is that you show up, and we care about how you just showing up. But that's not because of the technology. That's not because of technology. That's because we have connection, that we've forged connection, and we've set rules for our relationship that say just show up.
So,
and that's a
can I
human
ask a
quality,
question?
not a technology quality.
So when is digital presence enough? And when does it fall short? I remember when the pandemic started, one of the things that I used to rail against was the difference between virtual and in person. Was it virtual and in person? Yeah.
Right.
I couldn't stand virtual and a virtual experience. I kept saying, "There's nothing virtual about this. This is real."
Right.
But there's a difference. We've all felt it.
Mm-hmm.
There is a difference. So
Oh, yeah.
when Lois, I see you. And Dave. Sorry, let me actually get Dave first because he's waiting. I apologize, Dave. When is digital enough, and when is it not enough?
Well, I came upon, okay, I study media. I study the effect of media on people, and it's always been a concern of mine when Zoom started to take over. I was very familiar with digital technology and conferencing, and actually taught people for 3 years how to do this professionally. And so for me, jumping in and being ready and lighting and all that, it was easy. So I'm from that world, the back end that Tamara's from, where I know how it all works. The thing I was very curious about when I saw office hours is that there was a sense of community, but also there wasn't so much an emphasis on connection as it was being vulnerable with people in a public place. That is where you get true intimacy, and that's where it's required for humans to be in the same place. No longer. I have changed my mind, as you've said, that I'm comfortable with the virtual, that it's not quite real, and we're all putting on a face and everything else. But it also opens the opportunity for you to do what is called shared information space. That's my tech term for the day. In the phone, you can hear the other person while you're talking. And if you cut that off and make it a conference call where it mutes while people talk and they don't hear you, that's not a shared information space. And Zoom has worked very hard to allow us to interrupt each other and be on the same page and not have to wait for the frame rate to catch up. And this is really creating what is a sort of virtual connection. Won't give it the full intimacy thing, but it is, as she said, creating a safe place for us to express ideas and explain ourselves and not be so terse that it's only 280 characters. So I think in the sense that it's a growing and emerging thing that people begin to understand and adopt and be more comfortable with. That's the other side. I'm seeing technology now that's making it so easy to get on Zoom without having to know much. And I just went through a month of trying to teach a 78-year-old man who knows nothing about computers how to be on YouTube. So I'm very patient with him, very slow. He doesn't know how his computer works and that sort of stuff. In the sense that this technology becomes so ubiquitous that you pick up your phone and you're connected to Japan, which is what I can do with my son, blows my mind every time I do it. But I also understand there's a difference between connection and just familiarity or acquaintance. So in the sense that sometimes, you're all just acquainted with me, but you also have let me have heavily emotional moments. And that's not available to me, even in real life sometimes. You're in a room with people, it's a cocktail party, you're not going to tell the sad story because it's you're doing this for that reason. And I live with an introvert, so I'm totally on board with what Tamara suffers.
I'm wondering, Dave, I don't feel like, I think the thing isn't the technology that's been so more remarkable. It's the shared experience of COVID that pushed people who were not technically savvy into digital spaces. And I think without that, I think we would still be it isn't
Just
like
holding
video
meetings.
conferencing. Yeah, video conferencing isn't new. We've been doing it
It's
for
meetings.
quite a long time.
Yeah.
It's just meetings. But now it's very different because we had a shared situation where everybody was forced to figure it out. They all did. And even post-COVID, now people have gone back into the world. There's still people I see only on Zoom. But I also, for me personally, I spent an hour and a half going to work every single day by myself in my automobile, one direction, where I'd sit in traffic. I do not sit in traffic anymore. If someone needs a meeting, I hop on, I do a meeting, and I leave. And my life has much more time for family, for friends, for relaxation, for lots of things that my life did not have before. I left my house at 4:30 in the morning and I didn't get home until 10. And that is huge.
That's the connection piece for you. Lois, did you want to jump
absolutely.
Yeah. So the difference between what we're doing here, which is a digital party, if you will, and what I could do in reality in a physical space. So I'm thinking about genealogy. Now, I like genealogy, and there's a club here, and I've been to the meetings, and you go and you sit in a room, and maybe you might see one or two people and talk to them, maybe, but everybody's facing the front and listening to the speaker, and so since the pandemic shut us down and we learned how to do the Zoom thing, there is Monday at 1 o'clock a discussion where people can come and they can talk about what they're doing, and I have this problem and what do you know about this, or here's oh look, I found whatever it is, anything about genealogy. And that experience of looking at that face when they're talking, and they're an arm's reach away from you. They're not all the way across the room. They're not, in 50 people. It's very it's wonderful is what it is. And I would not go back to in-person only. In fact, I feel very left out because our group, our club, has a book club where they read a book and then talk about it and stuff. But they won't let me join because I'm not physically in that room. And that's so annoying to me. All I would have to do is have a little laptop opened up and put a camera on top of it, and I could be there, and they'd just see me in it, on the table by a chair. I'd be the same size as everybody else, but they won't let me do it.
But Lois, I've had that. Sorry, I've had that same experience. There are meetings in downtown Miami that I really would like to go to, but I'm not driving to downtown Miami in the middle of the day when I'm working in my office. And I've asked them, can we just open a Zoom for me? At the very least, even if it can't be a great experience, let me listen in. And there are a lot of folks who believe that, and I'm not sure I disagree with them, by the way. A lot of folks who believe that when you introduce technology, when you try and create a hybrid experience, it takes away from the connection that is happening physically in that room.
And I'm sure that the folks at the club are looking at the presentation meetings, which is a hybrid experience, and we have everybody's sitting in this big room, and then there's a dozen people on the screen, and it's not comfortable.
Yeah.
Not comfortable for anybody. But that is totally different than having one person on one screen just show up, sitting there right at the table, looking just like she's sitting there in a chair. And, I have my own Zoom space. We don't have to go through things. We don't need to have all the bells and whistles. It's a little library. There's a table, and I could be sitting there.
And by the way, the tools to facilitate that are getting better and better. Tony, I'm throwing you in 1 second. Oh goodness, what am I looking up? Here it is. Insta. So when the pandemic first started, we had the Owl camera. That was this goofy looking thing with the array of mics and the 360 camera on top. Insta 360 now has this really interesting. Let me see if I can find it for you. It's called the It's part of the Insta 360 link, but where? No, I don't want that.
I have that,
I think it's
and that's what
the
I'd
link.
be using.
No, it's called
Yeah,
the
it's the second
Insta
generation.
360 Wave. It's
There you
this
go.
guy. It's really interesting. So you take your little Insta 360 camera, you pop it on top of it, and this becomes your array mic and your. My point is, I'm not selling Insta here. My point is that the tools to do what you and I are asking folks to do are getting better and cheaper, and but there are still a lot of folks who struggle with that. Let me go over to you, Tony.
Well, I really wanted to respond to what Lois just said in terms of the experience with the book club, and I think that there is a fear that if they allow you to do it, that more people will want to do it,
That's a really
and then
good point.
it becomes a virtual experience,
And?
which the end is that the person who is leading it may not want it to be that.
Right.
And so that might be the issue. But I look at this all as if we go back to 2020 and the pandemic, for me, it's very clear. It's very clear that the virtual space became a lifeline or even a lifeboat for a lot of people. And so I can say, I'm hearing Alex Lindsay talking about how we needed to not, as already been said, not leave anyone behind. But I'm reflective on the interactions that I've been able to glean, and Rabbi David Paskin and I have not talked about this in a while, but I want to say to him, thank you for when I was bothering him for creating an actual playbill for the virtual church that I work with that has maybe 60 to 100 people on the roll, but only have 10 active members. And we were producing an actual play in the theater. And because of our interaction, and because he was working with me on Canva back and forth, and because I was getting on his nerves, no, I don't mean that he was getting on, that I was getting on his nerves. I want to say
Never.
that I was able to produce a product that was fantastic. It was professional. And that's just the tip of the iceberg in terms of us being able to engage with one another. I've shared numerous times about the fact that I was able to engage with Clark Lopez Waterman, that he has visited me several times. He was also a part of the actual in-theater production that was 100 miles south of where I actually live, and went there and brought his camera. Not once, but twice he's done that. Not to mention the authentic relationship that we have is that he's able to come here, move this studio, all this equipment, set up this bookcase, connect it to the wall. All of those things don't happen if we do not connect in a virtual way. And so for me, that is an authentic relationship, as if there is any relationship that you could have in person. And then lastly, I want to say this. As we are celebrating 1 year of the rundown, the fact that we are able to gather here together in this space, have this conversation, talk about this, and not have to book a plane flight or hotel space in order to celebrate. So, the good with the bad, yes. But I think that the good outweighs the bad, at least for Tony Mobley. And so that's all I wanted to say.
Show's over. Sky no, I'm kidding. Sky, go ahead.
It reminded me as a high schooler working in a clothing store and recognizing that not everybody had the option of wearing the latest trend. And what I heard today in Tamara's expression of going out and Dave's expression of living with an introvert was what we are doing here is the new Brooks Brothers suit. But not everybody can afford a high tailored uniform, a high tailored, even shoes. And so, Tony, your comment about the intimacy that you feel and share, and Tamara's comment about the connectivity with humans, and that's where I want to reach out to Ray Franklin. Ray, we see you. You are here with us now. You and I are connected. We have never met physically. So this is where the reality of things are. In my heart, I know who Ray is. I see Ray. Do I need to be breathing the same air? I don't know. People that want to sell you something will tell you that you need to, like an airplane ticket or even a piece of technology.
Yeah,
I believe we are connected.
I can remember. Oh, I'm sorry. Dave, go ahead.
Back in the 70s, before Marshall McLuhan died, he used the phrase a global village. And he's the patron saint of the internet, so I get to say that. Wired magazine made him that. Marshall meant by the global village that it's both a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. It'd be like everyone here is living in a small village now where everyone knows everyone else's business. And the good part is that you can all work together on things. Villagers often get together and do a whole lot of things like, I don't know, fix the arena. But the bad side is everyone snooping into your life. And we always bring that forward that, is that shopping center paying to be the chat GPT source for all the information? And I wanted to mention that, we're talking a lot about video conferencing and that, but of course, there's all the other internet people use and browsers they use. I deal with a person who thinks the internet is the browser and apps don't matter. There's a health issue that came up in the pandemic, which was that teenagers were acquiring Tourette syndrome. And it was groups of girls who would be watching a video on YouTube, and then suddenly they're showing signs of Tourette syndrome, and they're actually taken to a doctor and say, is this real? She really got Tourette syndrome. And many of them were actually diagnosed as acquiring Tourette syndrome just from having seen these videos. Now, later, of course, there were ways to train them out of it because speech therapists can do this. And the kids were dealing with it emotionally. It was a connection they made to a video that was an emotional connection for them. And to manifest it in their own life, they adopted that Tourette's. And having been in the presence of a person with real Tourette's, it's not a nice thing and it shouldn't be played with. But at the same time, this is a secondary effect that's happening to people, is in their brain, they're making a affiliation with someone or a thing or a trend or a meme, and then they want to manifest it in their life. And this is an offshoot of projecting a great edited life that's perfect for Dave Troutman and nobody knowing the trials Dave Troutman's been through. So it's again, that secondary effect that's always following each of these new innovations. And it's a connection thing. It's people affiliating themselves with something, but it's not an emotional or human connection. It's a thing connection. Last week we were talking about what our tools are doing to us, and everyone has their, they love their car, and we get an emotional connection to our tools and devices. But it's the same thing with the online presence and the online communication and the Instagram. So I'll just leave that there.
Okay, Dave, as you were speaking, I was thinking about, I can't remember the year, but I distinctly remember a birthday that I had where for the first time ever, I got more Facebook comments than physical cards. And I remember saying to myself out loud, wow, this is different. And how do I feel about this, right? Does it feel just as good to get the comment? Or do I need people to spend the time in the back then it was 23 cents to mail the card?
The consideration and effort is missing. Yes.
Right.
It's so seamless now that you can just do it. And actually you can program your agentic software to do it for you and come up with a beautiful little, Her, the movie, is all about that. The guy sits down and writes letters to people because nobody does it in real life anymore. They pay somebody to do it. So yeah, it is a disconnect from a previous way of doing things. But I also think the neurodivergent are finding this is a better environment for them than it would be to meet groups of people and be anxious all the time. Yeah.
I also think what you're talking about too is people are understanding that an algorithm feeds them what they want to see and what they want to hear. So if the algorithm feeds you something, then and it sounds right to you, then you suddenly feel a connection as part of a group. This week, the thing that has exploded on TikTok is this woman said, I'm going to send out, I'm going to just test things out. She made a series of posts 1 through 7. And she said, if this is on your algorithm, you are in group 1. If you see this, this is on your page, your For You page, you are in group 7. And group 7 was the one that won. And it is now kind of more than just these posts. She was kind of seeing what would happen. Group 7 is the one that won. It showed up on everybody's page and people were like, I'm group 7. Group 7 is like neurodivergent people. These are my people. If this showed up on my page, then it must be for me. And so I think a lot of what you're talking about, Dave, too, is that people would have something on their page. If they interact with it in any way, they looked at the comments, then the next 2 will be there. And then suddenly after a while, that's your whole feed, whatever it is. And so there's a real ability where people are looking at that and making a connection and saying, oh, that's me. Whether that is or not, that's still, there's an affinity feeling towards that. So I think that's part of the misdiagnosis of it. And there's a real danger in that. But what is the need in their life that is not being met when something falls on their page that they're relating to? I think that's the very real piece that is, there is a connection that they're making because, and I've had that with things that I see online. I'm like, wow, that's really interesting. And then suddenly my whole feed is that. And then after a while, it's, that's why this group 7 thing has really like taken off. People were like, hey, did you know there were other groups too? But I obviously got group 7 and it's fascinating because it's like celebrities. It's, everyone feels they need to make a video to say, I'm group 7, go group 7. And you read the comments and it's really an interesting social study about what is possible with the algorithm and how people receive that and relate to it.
So I would call that an echo chamber. That
is an echo chamber.
Yeah, that you're only talking to people, or in this case, you're only seeing the information that is being sent to you because they think you want it. We have always had, we didn't call them an echo chamber. We called them a group or a milieu or whatever. So if I go to the senior center and I sit in the discussion class that's about art, well, the people who are there are self-selected, interested in art and willing to go to the senior center. And so that is a subset of people that I deal with. Now, when we first started, we were talking about digital versus physical, and that's the way I think of it. The physical, the things you can't do digitally include giving people a hug and sharing physical objects. So if we go and we've done some painting and I go, oh, I really like that, and go, I'll trade you this card for that card. That sort of thing. So there are places and times when physical is necessary. But for me, most of the time, I'm perfectly happy with digital.
We had a couple of events that started out as physical. Like I'm everybody's techie best friend, right? So I'm the techiest lay person in the room. So people have come to me and said, hey, we used to do this thing in real life and now we're in a digital space. Can we do it here? And they kind of tasked me with figuring it out. And one of those things was this event called Speed Date, where producers hear pitches from writers. So it used to be in a real space, in a real theater. We would sit in a square. There'd be 12 producers, 12 writers, and then 12 trailing producers basically sat right behind the producers. The writers would be given the signal to go. All 12 writers, 11 or 12 writers would shout their 2-minute pitch at the producers, and then someone with a giant whistle, Bob Ost, who I love him, but I hated his giant whistle, would shout out at us, stop, everybody move now, down. And it was like you would come out of that event and you would have a headache for like 4 days, right? Now we've done it in a digital space. So the way it works in a digital space is everybody comes into the main room and I have an amazing stage manager, Owen, who brings us in and we go one-on-one in a breakout room. Dave pitches to me. He gently comes over the Zoom speaker and says, it's time for the producers to speak now. We respond and then it sucks us back into the main room. We will never go back to Bob Ost's whistle, ever, because it is so much gentler. We have one-on-one time. We've set up the writers, I've set up an extra party room for them. So when they leave, I'm like, listen, it's an unmanned room. Whoever shows up first, they get to play the music. And I watch them on my little screen as I'm in the other meeting, as they kind of come in sheepishly, and then they kind of hang out with each other. And we do the same with the producers. We kick all the writers out and we hang out for usually an hour, sometimes 6 hours, depending on who's in that room. And so it is interesting. I don't think we'll go back. There's one person, my producing partner, who wants to go back to a in-person space. But the truth is we can see writers from all around the world. Producers don't have to drive into Manhattan. They can be in the comfort of their own home. And when we actually are hearing pitches, we are in a one-on-one conversation where we're both staring at each other and we have an active space. And I think that there's a lot of things. I was so anti-hybrid, but now I am really searching out ways to make those hybrid things work for exactly what you're talking about, Lois, because there are people who can't get there who deserve to get there and who deserve to see it. I ran an audition where people in LA could come in and they could watch the auditions in a, anytime they wanted. I said, they're open 7 hours of me feeding the auditions into a Zoom meeting, and people who couldn't come to New York were able to be part of, watch their show be cast. So I think that it's not going to go away, and I think you can have genuine connection in them. I don't think it's a replacement, but I also think that it has made us really think about who do you want to spend your in-person time with. I do not spend in-person time with people who I would not, who are just casual friends. I spend in-person time with people I want to meet and that I want to be in that space with, because I get what I need in a digital space with them, and I get to spend time. And those people may become, over time, people that I want to spend time with, even if I just met them digitally, right? I'd meet with any of you anytime, right? So I think that that's one of the things that is, I don't think it's going to go away, but I do think that you can create connection in both spaces, and both are necessary.
I feel like I'm back on the playground. Pick me.
I want to follow along on the hybrid thing, because in our I work with the Japanese community in Edmonton, and they had people who couldn't attend. There were barriers to participating. And so we built in a whole system where as many as 20 people can be attending the meeting while 30 people are in the chairs. And we found a way through the PA system to allow that to work. And it became very popular, so much so that when they hosted a national conference virtually, there were participants, and physically people came to Edmonton to have the banquet and everything else that comes with it. But those who were not able to attend were still able to attend and then be participants and help contribute to the thing, whereas they wouldn't have had that ability to contribute if they had to get on a plane, and they can't get on the plane, so they're not going to be able to come. Can they send someone in their place? Not the same experience. So I'm all for people discovering that this spreads out to all kinds of applications, and then maybe it makes life better for everybody.
Right.
Yeah. I want to echo what Tam wrote, what you just said. I'd hang out with any of you. Yeah, absolutely.
If I'm ever down in Florida, you're going to get a visit.
Come on down. I'm really grateful that I got to spend this 1 year anniversary with all of you. Next week, I'll give you the teaser now. I'm thinking a lot about. We talked a little bit about. We had a show about vibe coding and how that may affect coding, like real professional coders. But next week I want to talk about the hyper-personalization of technology, because what I've experienced over the past 2 weeks is that it's easier for me to build an app specifically for me, exactly what I needed to do, than it is for me to go out and find an app and then futz around with it and try and make it fit into my. So that's what I'd like to explore next week. The idea of the big box apps, the big box providers, the big box, the one size fits all, versus this new world that we live in where everyone can create whatever they need for their own purposes.
I'm going to throw the challenge down, though. What is the macular and the massive problem that you want to solve? That's the joy of what we're doing, is that we no longer have to wait for corporate entities to create the
solve our
software
own
for
problems.
us.
Yeah.
To decide you're important enough to solve a problem for.
There it is. I think that's my first
Well,
problem. I have to believe that.
When we're doing this, though, David, we also have a third way. You don't have to use a big box answer. You don't have to do it yourself. We have a whole community of people that can help you find the right thing for your problem.
Right.
Yep.
Don't talk about it now. Save it.
I won't. See you
Guys,
next week.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Vic and Hershey and I Am Fatness
Happy birthday
and
to
and Ray and Joe Cali and everyone for watching and chiming in the chat. It's lovely having you here with us. We will be back next week in costume. Are we doing costume? I don't celebrate Halloween.
Oh,
but I
yeah.
don't know. Are we doing
Social
costume?
butterfly. There you go.
Yeah, I don't think so. Maybe I'll have a hat. I don't know.
You always have a hat.
We may have to be a little late next week. So if we're not on live I'll let the panel know, but I may have to push it back by half an hour. I have an important meeting I have to be at.
That would be
But
fine for me.
if you celebrate for next week, happy Halloween, and we will see you soon
Happy birthday to you.
on the rundown. That was beautiful, Sky.